Hello everyone and welcome back to the Irate Bear channel. So today guys, we have something a little bit different for you. We actually have a report sanctioned by the British government to look into Sharia law here in the United Kingdom. Something that I was very surprised about, and even more surprised that we chose to publish it publicly due to British over-tolerance. I mean, we go so out of our way here to ensure that we don't offend Muslims specifically, that I'm surprised that nobody's called this report hate speech yet. But for the purpose of this video, as I believe going through the full thing is best suited to a live stream discussion with people like Megan, I'm just going to read out the recommendations to you, and then give my opinion afterwards. So the report was carried out by a team of multi-ethnic, multi-religious people to find out what the problem is with Sharia law, specifically marriage. And imagine my shock, they found a few problems. Recommendation 1, legislative change. Amendment to the Marriage Act 1949 and the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. The changes are to ensure that civil marriages are conducted before or at the same time as the Islamic marriage ceremony, bringing Islamic marriage in line with Christian and Jewish marriage in the eyes of the law. Such legislative changes would be through amendments to the Marriage Act 1949 offences sections so that the celebrant of any marriage, including Islamic marriages, would face penalties should they fail to ensure the marriage is also civilly registered. This would make it a legal requirement for Muslim couples to civilly register their marriage before or at the same time as their Islamic ceremony, making Muslims follow the same practices as the rest of us, you bigots. By linking Islamic marriage to civil marriage, it ensures that a greater number of women will have the full protection afforded to them in family law and the right to a civil divorce, lessening the need to attend and simplifying the decision process of Sharia councils. Well, good luck stopping those honour killings, British government. Because if you try and do that, well, I'm sorry, but you're just a racist. Recommendation 2, awareness campaigns. The panel's opinion is that the evidence shows that cultural change is required within Muslim communities so that communities acknowledge women's rights in civil law, especially in areas of marriage and divorce. Awareness campaigns, educational programs, and other similar measures should be put in place to educate and inform women of their rights and responsibilities, including the need to highlight the legal protection civilly registered marriages provide. Well, that may present somewhat of a problem, considering that Islam is a very, very patriarchal ideology. So you're going to have to try to get that information to these Muslim women when they're very much isolated from the rest of society. Alongside this is the need to ensure that Sharia councils operate within the law and comply with best practice, non-discriminatory processes and existing regulatory structures. In particular, a clear message must be sent that an arbitration that applies Sharia law in respect to financial remedies and or child arrangements would fall foul of the Arbitration Act and its underlying protection. Finally, there is the need to raise public awareness in communities as to the availability of legal aid and the exceptions to the Legal Aid Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Act, including the domestic violence and child protection exceptions, which mean that public funding is available to applicants. Recommendation 3, regulation. Recommendations 1 and 2 of this report aim to gradually reduce the use and need for Sharia councils. You couldn't just outlaw them outright, I guess, and arrest everybody involved, but whatever. However, in the meantime, there needs to be a further recommendation on how to prevent discrimination in the immediate and medium term. The recommendation of regulation is put forward by the majority of the review panel, but is not unanimously supported. One member of the panel is not in agreement and their reasoning is detailed in this report. I wonder which one that is. Recommendation 3 proposes the creation of a body that would set up the processes for councils to regulate themselves. That body would design a code of practice for Sharia councils to accept and implement. There would, of course, be a one-off cost to the government of establishing this body, but subsequently the system would be self-regulatory. This body would include both Sharia Council panel members and specialist family law legal expertise. It is to be noted that in speaking with the Sharia councils, none were opposed to some form of regulation and some positively welcomed it. Probably because the government acknowledging the existence of Sharia councils Sharia law and not outright banning it. I suppose some of these people who actually believe in Sharia law want it to be a thing, see this as a good thing. They probably see it as an intertwining of British law and Sharia law. Now, it's worth noting that Sharia law or Islamic law councils are diverse and are difficult to completely gauge. However, we here in the UK should be operating on a no-tolerance basis. We're allowing people to define their own laws on British soil. We are all supposed to be equal under the law. But due to our overbearing tolerance to treat Muslims as a protected class, they are somehow allowed to get away with this. Islam brutalizes women, children and LGBT people with an actual patriarchal system. This report will most likely serve almost no purpose in my opinion. It merely confirms what we already knew. It's one thing to recognise the problems the Islamic community have here in the UK, but then to suggest pussyfooting around the issue as well. That won't solve anything. Now, it is my intention to take a hard gander through this report on a live stream soon, so make sure you guys look out for that. Also, if you guys want to take a peek at the report, I've linked it in the description. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, I've been the R8 Bear, you've been a bunch of bigots, and I'll see you next time. Peace.